Welcome back to some more Ultimate Admiral Dreadnought. This is Kabusha with a second attempt at the Hurry Up Naval Academy mission. This mission has been very difficult. I have finally beaten it. You see I've got the green check box here. I actually completed it. But, yeah, it's not fun. It really is not. It's very RNG dependent. I may actually restart the mission a couple tries till I get a good enough start where I think I can beat it. Because it is very, very RNG dependent of whether or not you can actually defeat this mission. The critical things, you have to sink 75% of the enemies. So just sinking their primary capital ships, which if you read this, it sounds like that's kind of the gist of the mission. Yeah, you have to destroy those in addition to at least one destroyer, maybe two, depending on how it decides to calculate. Next, your light cruisers, your two escorting light cruisers are very important. Hopefully you get ones with at least some torpedo complement, because if you're lucky, they may torpedo one of the capital ships, and that, you know, helps you along quite a bit. It's not essential, but it's good. And if they have torpedoes as well, the enemy AI is a lot more conservative. If you roll with light cruisers that have no torpedoes, the transports are dead. The AI will just charge in, and there's not even, it's not even worth trying to fight the mission because you have no effective deterrent. Lastly, the game rolls one of the light cruisers as your flagship, which is really bad. So you have to try to identify whichever light cruiser is the flagship. Normally, it's the lead ship, but occasionally it's the second ship. On this, when I did beat this mission, it was actually the second ship, and I misidentified it, so I kept the second ship alive. And I'm like, why is my gunnery not quite as good as it should be? Oh, because it's the second ship. It wasn't the flagship, and the flagship's gone. So at that point, you've got a permanent minus 15% malice to your chance to hit, which is lame because the flagship doesn't move. Once the flagship's gone, it's gone, and you're stuck with that penalty for forever. So there's a lot of things that can compound to make it difficult. That said, let's go in and we'll look at the ship I have developed to beat this mission. I'm sure somebody else has a slightly different variant, but I found this seems to work pretty decently. So the big thing, guns and fire control, you need accuracy. It's less the long range accuracy and more just the base accuracy. And reducing these penalties from bad weather, night, sea waves, because this mission tends to mostly spawn with a ton of extra negative modifiers. And the biggest balancer here is this mission tends to be torpedo soup, so you need the most accuracy you can to disable and destroy ships before they get the torpedoes away. Because the destroyers especially sometimes they roll and they have like triple launchers, and you'll have a 6 torpedo spread, and you can only dodge so much. So let's start. So this is the battle cruiser Furious. The speed, I did a few runs with like a 41 knot battle cruiser and such. The speed is not as important as I first believed. You need to be fast, you need to get in there, but the biggest thing is being intelligent with your light cruisers at the start of the mission. That said, this is not how I would normally build a battle cruiser, but to make it work within budget and tonnage, this I found to be the most efficient. One, this is the highest quality guns I have access to, 14-inch Mark IIIs. I went with a twin turret design, only 2 guns per turret to maximize my accuracy. I was experimenting with the triples, and you run into weight issues, at least for how I'm designing it, and you just lose accuracy, and I'm not sure it's really worth it. I was experimenting with all sorts of triples, lighter gun calibers with more shells or more barrels, and you would get the hits, but just not dealing enough damage, even against their lighter light cruisers and heavy cruisers. Whereas these, at least against the lights and heavies, it will definitely put a good dent in them and will generally knock them out within a couple good hits. Not always, but generally you will. Next, you have a heavy barrage of 8-inch secondaries. 2s versus the triples, again, the same deal. You're looking for as much accuracy as you can as quickly as possible to gun down a ship, because even 1 or 2 hits at range makes a big difference. Next, a pair of 5-inch turrets, not as important, but they do put in some supporting fire, and especially against the destroyers and light cruisers, it's sometimes enough to knock that ship out. Where it's sitting at like 0.3% structure and just won't sink. These, if you're in within the range envelope, will hopefully be enough to just take it out and you're done. They're not gonna be knocking out stuff, but they'll get you that little bit extra chip damage to make it happen. Next, I've really had to play with the budget on this because you need the gun accuracy, but you need the budget. An extra $5,000 would make this mission so much easier, but you need the gun tech. It's a lot of compromises. So to make this ship work, I ended up having to go with your typical turbines because you need to reduce as much tonnage as you can off the engine. I've tried making it work with a triple expansion, a larger ship displacement, but then you're making a less nimble ship and you need to be nimble. It's difficult. To offset the cost, we went with coal. Unfortunately, this does give us a negative modifier because you're going to be, spoiling your own gunnery because of your coal smokestacks. There's just not much, there's no real way around it that I could find for my design. Induced spoilers, you need the funnel capacity. You are going at 35.5. The big thing, especially at the higher speeds, is trying to get your engine efficiency as about as high as you can, because that allows you to get up to full steam early. You start the mission at about, I think 22 knots or something like that, so you have to get that full head of steam. And at when I was experimenting with a 41 knot design, you have to put tons of weight into the engines, and that means you need more funnels, which means more to get the engine efficiency, because if you don't have it, you're just not going to hit it. Unfortunately, it's not quite 100, but it's just what I'm having to deal with. This is good enough for what I've designed. I don't think I have the money to even adjust that any further. These were tall ones. Yeah, you're talking another 100K. I don't have it. It's just gone. Next, auxiliary engines. The big thing here with this ship, if you take a torpedo hit, the damage is basically going to be permanent. The big thing is to limit the water in the adjacent compartments. And hopefully you don't take a torpedo hit, because this is straight up a battle cruiser. I normally design them as fast battleships, but to get it in tonnage and cost, I had to design an actual battle cruiser. So we have a homogeneous 9.4 inch belt. So, about 18 inches of effectiveness. So we have very limited protection even against our own guns. Angled will bounce, but any broadside situation, we're probably taking pins. Having auxiliary engine 1 gives us water pumping, so those pins will probably deal flooding damage, but we should be able to pump it out. Same thing with anti-flooding here. Again, more water pumping. So between these two, we have about 35% water pumping. So excluding torpedoes, we can handle flooding damage. It's just nature of the beast. We're going to take it. Also, I end up having to skip propeller shaft. Again, I would have liked it, but just don't have the budget. Maximum Citadel, I do want this thing as tanky as I can so that damage is reduced from torpedo hits, pins. Depending on what they roll, I have seen them roll with a battle cruiser and a heavy cruiser that are basically the same ship. Sometimes they're very different ships. Just depends. And of course, reinforced bulkheads to reduce your fires down and those sort of things. Good solid choice. And double hull bottom is the best we can get. If we take a torpedo hit, it's probably not the end of the world, but it could really cost us. Next, heavy shells. It does hurt the reload time a little bit, but I want to deal as much damage as I can. Standard shell allotment was enough. Standard torpedoes. I would prefer slightly larger torpedoes, but it's better than nothing. Torpedoes are the great balancer in this. 2 powder for the reload and pin chance. I could save some money dropping down to white powder, which wouldn't be bad, which would give me some money back. I'm not sure if it's worth it or not. I do like the, you know what, I could try. We'll just keep going with what I'm doing. We won't change it. It's a good ship. It's working. Electrical turrets, we will be moving around quite a bit. So I want fairly nimble turrets, if at all possible. This ship will overturn the primary guns. Even with this, but at least they'll get back on target fairly quickly. And semi-auto is again the most rate of fire I could get. I need to put out the damage quickly. Autos, again, I just couldn't fit it in the budget. I might be able to if I were to drop. Let me see here. just a quick check. If I go to white powder and then switch about, I can't actually fix that. What's the rate of fire then? 1.79 versus 1.59. Oh, okay. I think I'll make that change then, because I'm not losing much. I get a little bit more range, less pin, but it's not the pin that's the issue. And we do get some more shell damage. You know, I'm fine with that. That's actually probably just fine. So, ooh, there's another little small improvement. It's a lot of tweaking and adjustments to this ship to make it happen. So I just changed it. Of course, now the ship's probably not gonna work anymore. But with that money saved, I could then go to a tall funnel 2, which gets me to 100% efficiency again. And if I got shaft 1, cool. You know, I'm okay with this. So now I have a slightly more acceleration, a little bit better turning, better repairs for the engines. Okay, I'm just fine with that. Can we go semi-oil? Hey, and I can get semi-oil now. Nice. Cool. Again, just one small change can make a real big difference, and I think that'll work. It's still basically the same ship. Lastly, coincidence rangefinder. Most of this gunnery is happening at like 8,000 yards because spotting is very difficult. So a long range engagement just is not happening. You want a fast, accurate guns at short to medium ranges. Cool. The leftover tonnage. We'll just put a little bit more armor on the secondaries, a little bit more on the primary turret. Again, this is very lightly armored. This is not how I like to build a ship, but it's just what I have had to do to make it happen. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, so another small iteration. That's all this ship is. It's just constantly adjust, tweak, add a little bit more, a little bit less, just to make a ship that works just a tiny bit better. Because this is such a hair of the margin mission. Alright, I probably rattled on enough. We'll go ahead and launch a mission. We may end up immediately restarting it if it's just too bad of a spawn. Just because I've played this thing for like the last 2 hours. Gotten a pretty good feel for what is winnable and what isn't. Just depends on your spawn. Even where the light cruisers will spawn can really screw you up. So, okay, this looks like an actual normal heavy cruiser maybe this time. This could be homogeneous. It could be different secondaries and primaries. We're not sure. And a more lightly armed battle cruiser. I've seen them with 15 guns at this point. Some of the designs are just insane. All right, let's pause. Enemy smoke to the north. Now, normally, the Neptune is the lead flagship. Unfortunately, both of these say, if I were to mouse around, they both have the flagship bonus. And at least I've been looking, I haven't been able to find a way to actually identify which ship is definitively the flagship. The only thing I can assume normally is whichever ship is being targeted to follow is normally the flagship. So we'll go take the Rainbow. We will detach it. And her job. Next, we have a bunch of torpedoes. That's good. The speed is adequate. I've had ones that are like 20 knots, and they're just too slow. Guns, doesn't really matter. They're not going to do very much, but they're here. And they spawned out over here to the north. So we'll go ahead, have her. Again, she's detached, but she's still not wanting to take her commands properly. There you go. Sometimes you have to mess with it a little bit. Next, the battle cruiser. Now, she is targeting that light cruiser to follow. The problem is that means the entire time she's accelerating, she will be adjusting her course, which reduces her speed. So just line up your cursor and set a fixed course. She'll make a small adjustment because it's never quite one-to-one, but then she'll push up to speed and get in as soon as possible. Next, what you believe to be your lead ship, take that ship, turn it, and you're going to run it hard. You might have to manually control it here. because you want this ship to survive if you can, because the extra accuracy bonus. Well, not just the bonus, it's getting rid of the malice. So you go from a minus 15% negative modifier to a plus 5%. So you're talking a 20% total change. So try to keep it alive. You do end up using your smoke early. This is the suicide ship. It just needs to go to aggressive torpedoes. What is the range on these torpedoes this time? 3.4. Yeah, most of the time these are very short range torpedoes. Sometimes they get lucky. Sometimes they don't. Unfortunately, the transports have decided to turn in, which is kind of annoying because they'll start interfering with each other's tracking. And, of course, the entire fleet doesn't turn with it. Normally, it's not too bad keeping them alive. The big thing is trying to have the engagement happen out over here away from the transports. And they'll slowly kite away. Half of them will end up just sitting there like sitting ducks. But yeah, so far this is actually pretty good. I've had the enemy spawn like right here, and you're basically done because they're too close. You just can't deter them even with torpedoes. But this one is looking okay. I'm going to open it out a little bit. And we're going to speed it up to 3 times speed. This light cruiser is going to straighten out its course towards the battle cruiser. We're just going to have them meet up. And this one is going to be our decoy. We will be using the smoke screen and hoping for the best. Now, if they are to the north, that is where it said it spotted it. We'll just angle in just a tiny bit more, see if we can get a good interception course without being too close. And our battle cruiser back here is steaming along merrily, and because of our engine efficiency, is getting up to speed pretty quickly. The 41 knot designs are very difficult to get up to actual full speed. Any maneuver at all, and they just drop it off. Alright, so she's already firing at a target, whatever the Rainbow just spotted. Now, let's double check. The Rainbow does not have a bonus. The Neptune does have a bonus. So the Neptune is the flagship this time. Okay. I sometimes forget to check that. It's just nature of the beast. Range to the warship is 5.8 kilometers, so outside of range, we are immediately going to smoke. And we're going to see, we'll angle her in some, hope for the best. Odds are this ship will probably die, but I'm hoping that with aggressive torpedoing, she will at least torpedo whatever this is. It's normally the heavy cruiser. And I'm guessing it probably is. It could be the battle cruiser, though. They honestly, I think they're using both hulls. Some of the hulls, I'm pretty sure, of the battle cruiser have actually been a Dreadnought. Looking at it, it's just like, I'm not sure that is what you're saying it is. Okay, we got unlucky this time. They did get early hits. Sometimes these ships survive in the smoke for a very long time. Sometimes they don't. Range to the target is 3.9, so she's almost there. She may survive. She dodged the next one. I just really want to, if I can, get a torpedo spread out with this ship. Now, this light cruiser, she is starting to take, she's starting to fire, but nothing's looking at it yet. And this ship is fine as long as she is still in her smoke. Now, she's probably going to take a second torpedo barrage from one of these two. So we're going to go ahead, turn her hard. Yep, there's the torpedoes out. And she has already fired some of her own torpedoes at what it believes to be the battle cruiser. In the mission I won, the destroyers decided to follow the battle cruiser, which made my life a lot easier. At the start, they tend to screen, but they may switch their tactics. If they do, that makes it way easier, because they're no longer spotting and they're no longer firing all these defensive torpedoes. Now, the good thing here, unfortunately, this ship's going to die. That's just nature of the beast. She already lost her engine power, so she's probably doomed. But we've already emptied at least some of their torpedoes, so that's a good thing. It sucks that the ship's going down this quickly, but it's just luck. Yeah, that much flooding, she's going to go pretty quickly. I have seen them occasionally survive a torpedo hit, because you will sometimes spawn one with medium, or maximum bulkheads. Then they're pretty tough. Now, this ship needs to, come on, give me the commands. It needs to smoke up. I need it to stay alive. Unfortunately, they are already into my transports. They decided to turn into the transports rather than turning out, so this mission's probably already a bust. Because if they decide to go this way, you're just kind of doomed. You can't do much. But we'll give it a few more minutes and see if it's worthwhile or not. Alright, we're still steaming in. We have a fairly decent chance on the Sashin, which is 14-inch guns, low armor, minimum bulkheads. These are normally fairly easy ships to destroy once you sink them, or once you hit them. The issue is, of course, hitting them in the first place. Good news is we should be close enough that we don't have the malice. We don't have the bonus for being close to the flagship, but at least we don't have the negative, so we have a respectable chance to hit. Not great, not terrible. You know, 3.6 Rotgen. But we'll see. Odds are this one is looking like it's already probably going to be a loss with how rapidly this transport's getting eaten up. It's just luck of the draw. It was a bad draw. They kited towards the fleet as opposed to out. Just happens. Give it a couple more minutes, and we'll see if I think this is salvageable. If not, we will restart the mission and give it one or two more goes. So now with those ships sunk, the destroyers are no longer spotted, which is the bane of this mission is spotting. It is very difficult to keep those little varmints spotted. They are horribly annoying and very prone to torpedoing, and once you can torpedo them or can spot them to shoot them, they smoke up. So then you have a horrible chance to hit. They are just horrible to deal with. And with the poor gunnery technology or spotting and rangefinders, it's just very hard to deal with them. It's doable. It's just very difficult. So fire is coming in. We need to switch pretty much all secondaries over to the destroyer. That next transport is getting knocked out. And with how she turned, yep, she just torpedoed. So we're going to turn hard to starboard. That one is probably about to okay, it's about to torpedo rather than just torpedo, but we will turn hard to starboard, and we're going to actually switch over to her because she's closer. Okay, they decided to torpedo the transport. That, you know, good deal, bad deal. It's just the one transport, but you know, it's a thing. And you're going to keep turning, and we'll see if we can do some kiting here. The heavy cruisers also have torpedoes. Oh man, it's got a ton of them. So yeah, now she has good enough guns, she can happily pin our belt. It's just, it's gonna happen. If she hits, we're gonna take pins. That's why you have to put in the investment into the, ooh, we got lucky, we actually hit it, into the flooding technology. Okay, there's those torpedoes we dodged, luckily. Those ones have torpedoes out, but I'm not sure where they are. They were torpedoed a while ago, and that one has not yet. Okay, we'll stay where we are. You can kind of end up using the torpedoes, or not the torpedoes, the transports as a bit of a screen. Unfortunately, you only have to keep half of them alive, but we are already almost out of transports. I have seen it spawn sometimes more transports, sometimes less. This looked to have been a slightly lesser spawn, so we shall see. We'll turn back in. Okay, we're actually getting pretty lucky. We're getting some good hits with our secondaries. This is not normal to land that many. We're gonna go ahead and slow down to full speed for the extra bonus. Okay, now we have basically crap to hit, so we're gonna put everything onto the battle cruiser for now. If we can get an early detonation, that would be amazing, but yeah, I think we're gonna lose it because of transport damage. The battle, it's poor positioning. We got unlucky. Oh, and there's the autopilot trying to do strange things again, as it likes to. Flooding damage. It's not really that battle cruiser that's the real issue here. It's the destroyers and the escorts with all their torpedoes that ruin your day. I mean, yes, that thing is getting hits on the transports, but it's not normally that big a deal. You can handle it. I'm going to increase speed. And that guy is probably about to torpedo out. Let's go ahead and put my secondaries on it for a couple minutes here. We'll see once they get locked. Yes, almost 7%. That's good enough. There we go. Getting some hits. If we can knock out, we get an early detonation or something. Here we go. it's all about managing your accuracy bonuses for sure. Modifiers, all those things. And we'll slow down. I do not like being this close. It's just kind of nature of the beast. I need to draw a little bit of aggro off the transports if I'm going to keep them alive. It's unlikely, but we might do it. I have a feeling we're about to lose here. Okay. Yep, that one just... And, yep, there it is. Okay. So, alright, another failure, but we'll do a quick retry. This ship, it can do it. It's just a matter of getting the right go of it. We were knocking out ships pretty effectively. They just kited the enemy fleet, steered the wrong direction. It went directly into it. So again, pause. We need to dismantle these two, detach. Now the battle cruiser is still trying to follow the ship, so this is probably the flagship. We're in a leading position, which is good and bad. It makes this ship more vulnerable, but it makes it easier to intercept with the second ship, because sometimes they'll spawn right next to the transport and you just can't turn it. And it's again to the north. It's I think every time it's to the north, occasionally maybe northwest or something, but yeah. So we'll take her, start steaming that way, and you're gonna start drifting that away. Odds are this thing will probably be spotted early, so I'm actually going to go ahead and smoke it up ahead of time, just because with this formation, it's probably gonna be the first ship spotted and then sunk. Lastly, the battle cruiser. We're gonna plot a course, just basically straight ahead. And it will get up to speed. So we'll go 5 times now. Just not even wasting my time. It's just kind of one of those. You get used to it. And we'll see. We'll just keep an eye. Yep. Near flagship. It's still happy. This guy, we're going to be hovering at the edge. Hopefully it's not the Hyacinth. Most of the time it's the lead ship. Alright, so there they are. So they are way over there. We're going to go ahead and smoke it up. And... we got a bad draw as far as torpedoes go. They do have them, but they're bound stern, deterrence, not great. Also, switch these guys over to high explosive. You're going to kite away, and you're also going to go to high explosive and kite away. These can work, they're just not great. Okay, they're pursuing. Excellent. That is what we want, is them to be in a pursuit course. Battlecruiser Furious. You are already targeted. We're just getting real unlucky this time. Again. Well, it wasn't the worst. She has maximum bulkheads. She might actually survive. Meanwhile, the champion, you turn away. And you just keep on kiting. Gonna go aggressive with the torpedoes. You might get something out. With bow on the stern, it's definitely a lot harder to get a meaningful hit. But what's the range on these bow and stern ones? Is it the 3s? And I have problems reading it. 6.6 kilometers. That's a lot better, but she's already dead. Yeah. That means I'm going to have to bring this ship on over just a tiny bit. Well, actually, no. You're going to kite out. Hopefully, they will pursue this ship instead. Hopefully. No guarantee, but they might. Again, you want to keep it alive. It's not critical, but it's good if you do. Meow, battlecruiser is steaming ahead. We're going to plot a slightly different course. We're going to lose a little bit of speed, but I just want to push into them fairly aggressively. We do have an Andar torpedo belt, the basic one, so we do want to avoid torpedoes, but if we take it, we're not gonna sink. It's just, yeah, weighing the odds. But so far, so good. There's no fire on the transports yet. Okay, it's looking good. Go ahead and turn back in. She's ready with more smoke, and as you see, the smoke, it helps, but it's no guarantee. Enemy smoke spotted to northeast, relative. Spotted to the north, so should be due north from the battle cruiser. Okay. Just steam on in. And this is the flagship again. I forgot to look earlier, but yep. Not that it really matters. You can... Like earlier, I beat it without the flagship bonus. It's just nice if you can keep it. Okay, we're going to go slow down to full speed to try and increase my accuracy. Because at least now the battlecruiser is in a screening position, and a good chunk of the fleet's starting to turn away. This is good. This is very good. We're in a lot more powerful position. Speed is 26 knots. We're going to have her follow in a follow position. I might change my mind, but just then I don't have to manage it for a little bit. We'll go and slow this ship down to 25 knots to keep within the range. We're not quite close enough for the flagship near. You have to be 2.5 kilometers. Just be super tight. But at least we're within the bubble. And we'll let that ship close. Northwest. So over there. So this is a good position. Okay. This should be winnable. We're in a good screening position. The transports are doing their thing. If it's to the northwest, we can turn in just a tiny bit more. See if we can get some spotting. Odds are they will probably spot us first because the destroyers are likely in a screening position, and they will outspot us basically every time. That said, we have some reserve speed. We can make some stuff happen, and the light cruiser is slowly catching back up. Okay, I'm going to speed up to 10 times speed and see what we can find. Turn in a little bit tighter. Northwest still, so they're out here someplace. We'll go slow down just a tiny bit more. I can definitely put the speed back on when I need to. I just want this ship to get a little bit closer. Just for the bonus. Now, here's the fun thing. As you start to get slower than your own cruising speed, you start taking a hit to your accuracy. So if you want best accuracy, it is right there in the full speed ahead. Spotted to the west. Okay, so they're out over here. Okay, that works. A little bit further than I would have expected, but that's okay. Speed back up. 26 knots. Well, we'll go ahead and match 26. And we'll go something like this, into more of a screening path for our transports. And see what we can find. Slow down, 2 times speed. So we already have battlecruiser Osmark. She is marked, and we are ready. Looks like all guns are firing, so I'm happy with this angle. We're already taking shots from over there, but that's fine for now. We'll just have to watch for their screens and take a guess on when we need to start maneuvering. The battlecruiser does not have torpedoes, so again, not much of an issue. The biggest issue is all the torpedoes, and they've got some meaner destroyers this time, by the look of it. Or I could be misremembering from last time. Did I spot their destroyers? I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. Oh well. We're getting some decent hits over here. Minimum bulkheads, so flooding damage, fires, all that's going to be excellent. The battlecruiser is generally pretty easy to take out. And again, 23 knots. Yeah. The battlecruiser designs are very odd. Some of them are just like, was it a battleship? It's just, it doesn't entirely make sense. Okay, first ship into view. Okay, this is our heavy cruiser. It will probably have a bunch of torpedoes on it. So I'm going to switch all the main guns over to it. I would much rather knock out the torpedoes. And another supporting ship over there. What is our range? We're approaching 7 kilometers. So I don't want to get too close. Let me see. Do I want to turn out and turn in? Turning in brings me a lot closer to those destroyers. Turning out weakens me against the battlecruiser. We'll go ahead. We'll turn hard out. Odds are I'm probably going to have the better targeting solution. 4.8% against that ship. They've only got 2%. 15-inch guns. Wow. It's got a lot of... Yep, damage to torpedo. Again, we don't have the ship identified, but we know we hit the torpedo somehow. And whatever that is getting the secondaries here in a few moments. 6 kilometers. That is probably within torpedo range. And it's either the light cruiser or destroyer. That is weird. That is probably their light cruiser, and it almost certainly has torpedoes on it. Our own light cruiser is still faring just fine in the aft. We've taken a hit, 8-inch, mid-belt, that's fine. I want to turn out a little bit more against that battle cruiser. It's always best to angle your armor if you can. This game, a lot like World of Warships, it has those angling bounce mechanics. So, and oh, all right, we're doing good. Flooding damage. He's taking some good hits. Nothing knocking it out, but you know, nothing terrible either. Chance to hit right now, 8% on the secondaries is not bad. If we switch them back to the heavy cruiser, 18%. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and leave them where they are for now. That's way better, and odds are we'll probably pin it pretty handily, whatever it's got going on. Yep, pins. I'm just happy with that. So we'll just go ahead and rain hell on that ship for now. We're angled out. We have a decent speed. I'm going to take the light cruiser by hand to set a parallel course. And I'm going to go ahead and have that thing start smoking up just in case anything decides to get antsy. Because it should be giving me, yep, the near flagship bonus. So this is basically the best accuracy we're going to get right now. And light cruiser, come on, parallel it up. We took a hit, 3-inch fire, no big deal. I'm going to turn back in just a tiny bit. Fire's already out. Generally fine, pretty good angle. We've lost sight of the targets. Range 7 kilometers. Chance to pin. It's pretty good to everything, so we'll just leave it as is. Eventually those guys will poke back up. One thing I'm torn on is additional ammunition. I have beaten it with the standard load, but does feel like I could run out if a mission runs long. It's hard telling. What's that ship doing? Battle cruiser Ostmark. She's got a fearsome broadside. 9 15-inch guns. But she's not hitting very often. 2.5 versus my 17. Yeah, she's gonna have a bad day. And not very much armor. Granted, I don't have much better. It's just the accuracy. And that's the thing. Torpedoes don't really have accuracy. Either they're fired at the target and they hit or miss. You know. And odds are, if you're maintaining a steady course, they will probably hit you. That's why this mission is so difficult, because there's so many torpedoes. But in this case, the destroyers seem to have backed off. They're in a chasing position rather than screening right now. Or if they are screening, we just can't see them, and they're not within range of torpedoing. 8-inch pins. The 8s are doing decent. At least they're slowly wrecking it. Another 14, good pin. Structure's getting wrecked. We'll probably flood it. We may flood it out if we get a good pin to the lower belt. But this is just fine for now. We're starting to lose accuracy because we're opening it up a little bit too much. So we're going to turn an angle back in. And this ship is going to go back into a chasing position. And we'll just make sure it is... Oh, that's dumb. Follow. They need to fix that. Whatever your last order is, it should keep. All right, so we have sight of this fellow. Again, it's that light cruiser. Again, we don't have an ID on what it's got as far as torpedo armament. It could have broadside. It could have bow. We don't know. I'm hesitant to go too close, but I don't want to... My ammunition is limited, and I don't want to lose or waste too much ammunition in a long-range gunnery duel. You know. Ooh, good hits. Mid-belt pin, getting some good flooding, so she's slowing down, which is just going to make her even easier to wreck. There we go. The battle cruiser is not the problem. It's surgically removing all of the torpedoes. So I'd say this one will probably end up a win, provided I don't run out of ammunition. Or get horribly torpedoed. Knock on wood. The Ostmark is not enjoying what's going on. My own accuracy is going up. Very good. It's still got the flagship bonus. Things are going very handy. Alright, that light cruiser is back again. And secondaries have a respectable hit chance. What is it for that? 28%. Yeah, just keep working it over. Get it sunk. Not until I get a better, clear view. Okay, so this thing does have torpedoes. And they are side-mounted. So she can dump them pretty much whenever she wants. What's the range on them? 4.9 kilometers. And my current range to the target, 5.4. So with that in mind, and since she's sitting in smoke, I'm not going to even worry about the secondary guns on that target for now. We'll just keep them on the primary. Use our ammunition most effectively until that smoke is gone, which it looks like it is now. Okay, if that's gone, then you're going to get all the Daka. She hasn't torpedoed. Well, she may have, but we just never spotted them and they missed. Or I missed spotting them. It happens. I'm going to turn in just a tiny bit more. So far, this is a good engagement. The AI is not being overly aggressive this time. The Ostmark is... I'm surprised that bounced, but I mean, it happens. It's my chance to pin. Oops, wrong ship. It might be starting to enter an auto bounce. No, it must have just bounced off the deck. And the light cruiser, you're never going to get a torpedo acquisition. Alright, so there is their heavy cruiser, which is still beaten up. Covered in torpedoes, but looks like fewer. We may have destroyed some of them with some of our hits. Are they deck mounted? Oh my word, they are. I had not seen those yet. Oh, so it's 2 sets of launchers. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that thing will have to die. The range on them is only 5 kilometers, so that's good. We can gun her down. And that light cruiser has not torpedoed yet. The Ostmark taking more flooding. She must have some pretty decent pumping technology, though, because she's not flooding quickly. We'll see. Mid-belt pin, another bounce. A lot of fires. I'm surprised with minimal bulkheads that she's actually not taking more fire damage, but flotation's going down. Oh yeah, there she's starting to really flood. We'll see if it goes to another... Oh, another hit. Bow extended. More flooding to the bow. Yeah, that ship's... She's sinking. She's going bye-bye. Now, that ship is becoming a major worry, but she did just take a good hit. And everything on that ship is looking just fine. We'll go to high explosive. See if we can gun her down. Maximum bulkhead, so yeah, she's unlikely to flood out. Unless I get catastrophic flooding. Which, you know, happens. Okay. Still no torpedoes from her. That's good, because she's definitely within range. Yeah, 3.5, and she has a range of 4.9. It's probably just a poor targeting solution for her just because of all the damage she's taken. Good hits, and she has to angle out a little bit more, I believe, to actually dump them. Oh, there they are. All right, so we're going to go hard to starboard. Turn. She just dumped them. And you, because the AI doesn't know how to follow properly, we're just going to give you a choice by hand as well. The Emden. Well, not today. 8 inches on a light cruiser. Very strange. Pretty heavily armored too. 4.2 inches. Wow. Is she gonna flood? She's trying to not. She's trying to get it under control. She keeps pumping it. Yeah, it's close. Yep, there she goes. All right, a heavy cruiser. We're gonna go back to AP. And we're just going to turn away, and you are not turning nearly hard enough. I think it's the AI auto being annoying again. And there's all the destroyers. Now, he hasn't dumped. These guys are not identified enough to know, but I would assume they probably have. So we're just going to angle away. Why aren't you not turning? There you go. You're starting to. Okay, angle away a little bit more. Oh, good hits. I could hear that. Good thumping. Oh, man. She's flooding hard. More good hits. So, battle cruiser down, light cruiser down, heavy cruiser's about to go down. Bingo. Now it's just a matter of everything onto those little bastards. Pardon my French. And you acting very sluggish with your steering. Here, just steady out. It's identifying it as a light cruiser, now a DD. And they do have torpedoes. They are not on cooldown. They are ready to go. We may have to sink 2 of the destroyers. We'll see if 1 is enough. I guess the thing is, just a random thought, you know, we're using the coincidence rangefinder, which gives you better accuracy the closer to the target you are. Just because you have a coincidence rangefinder doesn't mean you have to close to point blank range. It gives you a great base accuracy to hit, and provided you're inside the target's long range adjustments for the stereoscopic, you're just going to have better accuracy. And good gunnery, maintaining a stable platform, avoiding torpedoes that will cause too much damage, and those sort of things. Those all contribute to getting a win, you know, keeping that ship alive. Just a random thought, you know, coincidence, just because it means brawling doesn't mean you have to brawl super close. Alright, you're going to go back in, you're going to go back to following, and let's make sure, see, it keeps switching. Go back to follow. Now, we do have to close for spotting, unfortunately. We took light damage, a lot of pins, which I said was going to happen. But our Citadel is fairly resistant, the armor is fairly resistant. We stacked those bonuses, so we're not taking critical damage. Basically, accepting that we're going to take hits. Almost kind of like all or nothing in that tier. You're limiting the damage that comes in, just accepting what's going to happen. We'll speed up for a couple moments here till we respot these little devils, because we do have to sink the last one. Well, there's 2 left, so we have to sink one of the 2. Oh, alright, 2 times. Everything on that devil. And we'll stay kind of in this position for now. I do find these super firing secondaries are glorious for this mission, just because it gives you a fantastic field of fire and gets you some shots in early. Now, thing's probably dumped, but we will give it a moment here. So, good hits. Okay, I'm going to go turn to starboard. No torpedoes, no torpedoes. There we go. And that is mission. Mission complete. Cool. So yeah, that's the mission. We did it. It's a pickle. But hopefully this has been informative to you. And it's kind of cool just because we got to explore a little bit more of the mechanics of the game. And really, this is the first time I felt I've really had to build in a budget. Even with the other missions that had budgets, this is the first one where it really felt like I had a puzzle to solve and had to figure out a ship to properly solve it. And it was not the easiest one in the world. So hopefully this has been informative. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time. Later.